Yesterday on our national television, there was a programme called The Last Priests in Ireland. Now, I had heard that this programme was coming out, and I don't watch national television anymore. I don't have a television that actually receives that signal. When they became digital in Ireland, I just never upgraded my television. And after 2018, I said, what's the point? So I don't have cable television. I don't have ordinary television. If I need to look at something, I have my computer here. And but then somebody messaged me, oh, we saw you on RTE on The Last Priest of Ireland. We saw you appear twice in it. And I said, I don't remember being on any RTE program at all like this. I said, "Yeah, go and watch it. You appear twice. I saw you twice in the program. You made a cameo appearance." So anyway, I went to RTE to look at the program. Went on to their online player, RTE online player, and looked at The Last Priest of Ireland. The reason that I don't look at RTE, Radio Television, for anyone who's listening outside of Ireland, it's the Irish state broadcaster that we have to pay for with a fee for our taxes. If you have a television, you have to pay for it. I don't pay for it. The reason I don't look at RTE, because they portray the priesthood, Catholicism, either as nasty, evil pedophiles. They lambast the church on the one side, and of course, in some cases, abuse. It's there, it should, and it will be reported on. So on the one side, it's all the negative, it's all the negative. And on the other side, priests are stupid comedians. So you have the Father Ted scenario. So these are the two pictures that they paint the priesthood in Ireland. So you're either evil pedophiles or just plain comedians, stupid. Father Dougal. And it's actually this presenter that used to play a priest in this comedy. He's the one that's doing this series. But so I went and looked at the whole program, given that somebody said, well, since you're in it, you might as well play for it. And I suppose they caught me praying a rosary in the apparition chapel. So I suppose it wasn't too bad. But I was just listening to there were 6 priests. I counted the number of priests that they interviewed in it. I did like the army chaplain. I thought his interview was very good. And then there was a young, I think he was Croatian priest, Father Dominic. Was a good interview. I mean, there was another priest, I won't name him, but he can't even say the canon of the Mass. He has to ad lib the Mass. He doesn't understand what a sanctuary is or where you should place an altar in a chapel. And I just thought, okay, that's interesting, the type of priest we're going to interview in this program. But it's not to tear people down, but the priesthood the priests that I know in Ireland are very, very different to some of the priests that they interviewed in that. And of course, they had to bring up marriage, priesthood. It's okay, I don't mind that. Women priests, they had to bring that up. And an ex-priest who's now doing stuff, who doesn't believe in the priesthood, they interviewed him. I mean, it was a bit of a mixed bag, to be honest. That was my thought. And typical RTE, like what you're kind of going to expect it, you're going to expect RTE to give they're talking about the Druids and God knows what. Anyway, it was just, I don't know, did I waste an hour listening to it? But no, I did like some of the interviews. I did like the army chaplain. I thought he gave a very good portrayal of the priest. I mean, some of the priests that have inspired me, that have kind of ingrained into my mind their life. For example, there was a Jesuit priest called Father Walter Cziszek, and he wrote a book called With God in Russia. And I vividly remember that book. I think to my dying day, I will remember With God in Russia. Vividly remember that book. There was times when I was a seminarian, I just said I'll pack it in, and when you read that book, it was such an inspirational book. I said, oh my God, this is a priest. If I was going to be a priest, I'd want to be like Father Walter Cziszek. John Paul II, Saint John Paul II, his life as a priest always inspired me. Especially when I went to work in Poland, and I got inspired by so many great priests. I remember Father Janusz in Brno. I don't know if he's still alive, but he used to talk about his time under communism and underground masses and the persecutions and what he had to deal with as a priest. I mean, these priests had great adventures, great trials, but they were deeply men of God. Like, they were men of God. That they knew that the likes of Father Walter Ciszek, they knew they could die at any time. They knew that they were putting their lives on the line. And it's like the stories of the different priests and the different bishops that served Ireland during penal times, going abroad to get formation and coming back knowing that you are possibly going to die. The likes of Archbishop Richard Cree or St. Oliver Plunkett, these men that knew the hell, the problems that they were going to step into in serving in Ireland, and yet they had the courage, the stamina, real men of faith. Of course, not touched upon in this programme. And even today, when you look around Ireland, they're talking about the last priest in Ireland. There are so many good priests who have come to Ireland. You have, for example, all the priests of the Home of the Mother that have come to Ireland. You have many Dominicans. I see a lot of Polish Dominicans serving in Ireland. You have an incredible group of young Dominicans coming up now through formation in Ireland. The Dominicans I've met universally, I would say, in Ireland are an excellent group of men that love the priesthood. And, that's something to reflect on. You have the Franciscan Friars of the Renewal in Limerick or in Derry and in other places, many of them who have come to Ireland. And you have different orders, you have monasteries that have been founded in Ireland, different orders that come in. Lots of African priests that have come here to serve. Not one of them obviously interviewed yesterday. Good men from different places in Africa, Uganda, Nigeria, Malawi, and various places that have come to maybe spend a year or 2 years to serve here in Ireland. Good men of faith that have helped us. When I think about the Irish priesthood, there is one priest that stands to mind during the lockdown. During the lockdown, I continued to have Mass every week. We would travel to some place to have Mass. I'm not going to say it here. But there was lots of priests during lockdown who continued to say Mass. Lots of them. Lots of priests. It was interesting to see, during lockdown, who had faith and who didn't. And there was an elderly priest, I'd say he must be in his 80s, a smoker. And I remember him offering us Mass in a barn on the eve of All Saints, Halloween, around that time. The eve of All Saints, or the day of All Saints. And this was 2020. So 2020, during lockdown, All Saints, we were all gathered in a barn in Ireland. This elderly priest probably didn't have the best health, the smoker, but I don't think he cared. I don't think he was worried about his health at all. And he's still alive. He's still going strong. And, just calling us to be saints. I think it was one of the best homilies I've heard. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. What have we got to be afraid of? What's the worst that could happen us during this pandemic? What's the worst that could happen? You'll meet Christ. That's the worst that can happen. If you consider that the worst, the faith was strong, and he rallied, and it was just amazing to see. And I think God used those priests during the pandemic to purify the church, fortify the church, fortify them, fortified us. All the priests that were ministering. There's so many stories I could tell you about priests, because I know so many of them. So many of them are friends of mine, and I know the ups and downs of the priesthoods, the problems. Actually, during the the program, that young priest, Father Dominic, he spoke about loneliness in the priesthood, and that's something that many priests deal with. They are lonely. They are lonely, and that's why, and I always encourage men, find a community. Now, I know that's not always easy, but even in your seminary or wherever you are, form communities, form good friendships, people that you can talk to and sit down, have coffee with, or I honestly do think, if possible, priests should live together. Now, that doesn't mean that you're all the time in each other's company, but at least you can sit down, have breakfast together, or have one meal together a day, that you have 1 hour or one meal together to talk to each other, that you can discuss what you're dealing with, the problems that you might be, pastoral problems you're having. I do think, and I've often seen in various places around the world where, parish priests would there would be 4 or 5 maybe in a community, and then working together in Peru. But again, some priests, they might have their own house. Some priests might go into the priesthood, they may have their own house in the diocese. Their parents might have left them a house and they prefer to stay in them. I mean, some priests just like their own company, but others, I couldn't live like that. I absolutely could not live as a priest on my own. I would fall over. I think I know my own weaknesses. I could not live on my own in a house on my own. I think if anything happened that I was left on my own, I would just go and rent an apartment in Medjugorje and spend time in adoration and going to the masses and stuff. I could not live like that, to go home and face an empty house on my own. There's no chance of it. Whereas I know other priests, they don't mind it, but it's just something that to be aware of. But anyway, so what are my thoughts on the program? Well, it was just typical RTE. It's what more can we say? But I would just ask Irish to go out and experience the priesthood, the amazing priests that are in Ireland, the priests that love the faith. That 80-year-old priest, such an inspiration, all during COVID, saying mass and confession. Such an inspiration. There was actually I counted 20 different priests that we went to 20 different masses during COVID, during lockdown, saying mass. Such inspirations. Such inspirations. Not afraid. No, they're all still alive. None of them succumbed to what everybody got at the end of the day. One, I think, ended up in hospital, but he's still alive. He's fully recovered and nothing happened to him. It's just, they really showed how much they loved the priesthood. They really, really showed how much they loved the priesthood and their desire to serve. I think Irish have to see, what wasn't in that program. Go and experience masses with various communities around Ireland to see the vibrancy of what is happening, because there is so much happening in Ireland. It's not just what RTE wants to paint it. I don't know if many people actually watch it anymore or not. I have, as I said, I don't know. I don't follow what's on national television. But sadly, some people, that's all that they watch, and that's the impression that they're getting. But that's not my impression of what's of the priesthood. As I said, we did walk the cross last year, and it was great to see Father Mockler out there walking 3 days with us. And other priests were as well along doing the same walk. And boots on the ground, men that love the priesthood, they're not afraid to say, "I love this vocation." I love this vocation, that they have their heart in it. They're out meeting, they're out helping, they're out showing their love for Christ, that they really are another Christ. But anyway, that was just my thoughts on the program. Anybody that looks at my channel and you don't follow Irish stuff, well, I don't know if this can be seen outside of Ireland or not, but I think anybody around Ireland knows a bit about the program. What I would say to the church is you need to promote the priesthood more. You actually need to promote the priesthood more. I mean, in France, I saw all the bishops and all the seminarians and priests get together and do a pilgrimage. It would be great in Ireland if all priests and religious in formation would get together and do a walk or go to Knock, or show Ireland that the faith isn't dead. It's in Poland they do this. They get all of the seminarians and formation together, and they go to the National Shrine, Częstochowa. Maybe if all of Irish seminarians, say, did the Derry walk to Knock with the Curcio guys, drive awareness of what you're doing. Get out there, drive awareness. Don't let RTE be the driver of the conversation. You can drive the conversation. There are many priests that love their vocation, and I've met many of them in the church, and absolutely, that they have their heart in that vocation. And there are some that don't. They just can't reconcile their life with the church, and they get bored, and they have to redesign the church, and then they have to redesign the liturgy, and they have to tear things down, and they have to spend their life as a priest fighting against what the church is doing, and they're never content. And don't be one of those. Show your love for the church. I always think the greatest mission of the priest is to give Christ to other people, to give his body in the liturgy, in a reverent liturgy, and to give his forgiveness in the sacrament of confession. And so many people need to know Christ, need to see Christ present, and that's what I'm encouraging. I would encourage the Irish Church to do. Don't sit back. Don't let the media paint you, as semi stupid people. That's what the Father McDougall's or the Father Ted's type characters, or the other side, the evil this and cover-ups and all of this. I do think there's a lot of great priests in Ireland that weren't even, and probably didn't even want to get involved for good reasons in that program, but there's a lot of them, especially a lot of religious, a lot of Carmelites, Dominicans around Ireland, the Home of the Mother, as I said, the Franciscans. There are amazing groups that are working tirelessly for the faith. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments on this. And again, I didn't think I'd be doing this video today, but I said I'd just comment on the program that I saw. This is the only RTE program I've watched in the last 12 months, I think. And again, it didn't give me much inspiration at all, but I just let you know that's my review. Anyway, God bless you. Take care. Bye bye.